years, and then I remembered it was the rapture today, so I thought I'd poke a little fun. But my first attempt at going live today, the comment section was shut off from my perspective. So, well, of course, I had to reset because I want you guys to have that same freedom of speech. A speech curtailer. I want to hear what has to be said. I want to hear what I'm wrong about. Of course, it's not going to much matter because, none of you will actually address what I'm getting wrong. But hey, it's fun to think we can, right? Ouch. So yes, I'm proudly anti-ADL. And you should be too, the Anti-Defamation League. Let's do a deep dive, shall we? Let's look into this. I know I have before. I'm pretty sure. I was distracted. I think it's funny how I can't even get any ADL members to come to the feed and tell me what I'm getting wrong.
Cancel me? I own all the cameras. I own all the lights. I own the recording software. There's no endorsement that I'm going to lose. I look at myself in the mirror. I don't even recognize myself. I was like hyperventilating, and I went to, it's like a free thinking person. So if they're
Tom McDonald, the guy that's allowed to be the guy. Whoever you had, Chief, demolishes October 7th lies 3 weeks ago.
New DraftKings casino players. The choice is yours. Get 500 total spins on Huff and More Puff.
Points out brilliantly, and as someone who's done public communications,
Double
I can
Down
recognize.
News.
So the narrative went out, it was a surprise attack. There was no real context. There were Hamas butchers. They killed 1,400 people, or 1,200. There was no context. Israel could do whatever it liked in order to implement its right of self-defense.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
Israel must have that, does have that right to defend herself. All of those talking points are wrong. There was a context, the context of 1948, the dispossession of the Palestinians, the context of 1967, the context of the occupation, 2007, the context of the blockade, and then all the conflicts that happened since then. The idea that Israel has the right of self-defense. According to the 2004 legal opinion of the ICJ, occupied people cannot be attacked. The occupying power has an obligation to protect them. And yet here was Israel destroying, blowing them up, doing all these terrible things to them. The idea that it was a butchery by Hamas. People don't report much on the Hannibal directive. And this is a directive that comes, it's an IDF directive that they put to their soldiers. Haaretz, the newspaper in Israel, has reported, has investigated this. There were at least 3 areas where the Hannibal directive was invoked. Helicopters came in and simply destroyed anyone that was trying to get back into Gaza. That included Israeli soldiers, Israeli hostages, and Hamas and others from Gaza. So there were charred bodies, cars completely blown to smithereens. We don't know how much of that was Hamas and how much of that was the Israeli army. We simply don't know.
Hamas.
And
I'll go.
We accept this narrative.
At least I know my comment section's working this time. You see the Charlie got shot in the back of the head thing? I really do need to stop talking about it. When you identify the distraction and then you continue talking about it, aren't you being foolish? Like, isn't that foolish for me to continue talking about something when I know that's what I'm supposed to be talking about? And there's no... This is just like every other thing that we have. where the narrative just doesn't fucking make sense. The narrative we're given doesn't make sense. There's no, there's no other way to sort of look at it or whatever. Shut up, you fucking piece of shit pedophile. The fake Mackenzie page that was made yesterday, that's a fucking pedophile, a child raper, like full-on disgusting child rape. That's that person behind that profile. But fuck Charlie Kirk. I couldn't care less about Charlie Kirk. He was a piece of shit. He was an absolute piece of shit. It's like we say this about gangbangers, right? Like if you are a gangbanger, yeah, there's going to be the spoils that come with it, but eventually you're going to get shot. And nobody goes, oh, it's so tragic. Oh, it's so tragic. Oh, he finally got. That's just what happens. And we all know that's how that works. You associate with gangbangers, you get shot. Especially when you enjoy the indulgences that come along with that life, right? Charlie was associated with gangbangers, right? It's gangbangers, like the worst of the worst people in the world. He had taken their money forever. He had allowed them to put him in the position he was in. And see, this is the only reason this is the only stuff I feel comfortable talking about Charlie, in regards to, because I'm not a firearms expert. I'm not a weapons expert. And besides, the narrative we have regarding everything, from the shooting, the bullets, the gun, all that, that's their narrative. Assuming it's true or fighting it or whatever, it's just what it is. Like, it makes no sense. But the parts I can talk about with Charlie, and feel comfortable talking about with Charlie, is the bullshit narrative we're given regarding Israel, and that he was turning on Israel. He had started turning on Israel. If Charlie turned on Israel, Israel wouldn't, and it wasn't part of the script. If he was going against his orders, then Israel wouldn't be championing this guy and celebrating this guy and making fake angel videos of him. Have you guys seen that shit? Have you guys seen that shit? The fake fucking videos? Or the fake angel video? Yes. Look at the cold sore that's there. There's a cold sore on my lip somewhere. See it? Yeah. And this is from the person who I flat out said was a fucking child raping pedophile. Do they deny it? No. They just try to, they lie. If they're gonna lie about something as stupid as a cold sore, can you imagine they'd probably lie about raping children? But they don't even bother. They don't even deny it. Socrates doesn't deny it. Like, these are pedophiles. These are straight up fucking pedophiles who are mad at somebody like me who thinks we should kill them. These are Israelis. This is, they can't do anything but prove the point. Open-minded, what's up? They don't argue against the things I say. Do you guys see this? Do you guys notice what's happening? How there's never any argument against the information being given? It's always just, crybaby, pay attention to me bullshit. It's embarrassment, but you want to say something. This is what you do. Cold weather in the U.S. or in the UK is freezing cold. Sorry about that. It's kind of what happens. I think any normal person, if you were to even slightly insinuate that they were a pedo, they're going to get mad at you and deny it. And Ask why you would even say such a horrible thing. Not these fuckers. They know why I say it. They know why I say these things. And they're not upset about it. Look at the Israel Hayom tells you everything. It's the smoking gun. Then there's fat ass fucking Kristen Mayfield, another fat piece of shit pedophile. Doesn't shower and shit. Like, just horrible. Just it's horrendous to think what these guys do to children. And how proud they are of it. Yeah. Because again, I can affect the signal strength that my phone has. Or that my phone is given, I should say. I affect that. And my signal strength is way more important than them being pedophiles, right? These are child rapists. These are the people that are, sending the pictures back and forth, and these are the worst, most disgusting people in the world. And you know it by their responses. I can make all the accusations I want. It's up to you to defend it. Funny too how video is called anti-ADL, proudly anti-ADL, and they're all here, right? This is how desperate they are to keep us from
that there were these terrorists
knowing
who
what's
came
going
over
on
and butchered 1,400 people. So, as I say, the Israeli talking points are either wrong or simply unsubstantiated, and yet that was the narrative which has taken hold.
I saw little kids who were beheaded. We didn't know
No,
which
he
head
didn't.
belongs to which kid. We saw a
He's
little
lying.
baby in an oven. These bastards put these babies in an oven and put on the
These
oven.
bastards
This
put
idea
these
that it
babies in
started
an
on
oven.
October 7th. I first went to Gaza in 2006, and there was a blockade, a collective punishment. The blockade of the Gaza Strip is creating an atmosphere of deprivation that can only deepen the sense of hopelessness and despair among people. The whole blockade of Gaza and all the cruelty and economic stifling that we saw, all of that was part of a much bigger design, which ultimately
I love
is
it.
the
Keep
determination
saying all the
by
dumb
Israel
things you can
that
say.
Palestine should not be a state.
Everything but
Palestinians
denying
should not
being
have
a
the right to
pedo.
self-determination.
Go ahead.
Domino's Best Deal Locker is
Brian.
back because we know you love to get the most out of your pizza by getting the most on your pizza. Get any hand-tossed,
Yeah, gotta
pan, thin
love that
crust, or
pizza.
near
We know they like their
Determination.
pizza.
Our experience is that this radicalizes an already demoralized and isolated population, and the radicalization of Gaza does not serve the interests of peace. In 2014, I was the UNRWA spokesperson when, during the war, actually, let me not call it a war, it isn't a war.
It's not a war.
A war is between two opposing armies, and
Exactly.
this is a group, 2.2
Gee, it's weird. I must have paid this guy to say all this shit, right?
people behind a fence who are
People complain when it's a heat wave, and I'd rather be cool. Glad to hear
completely
that.
defenseless, and yet we talk about Israel's right to self-defense. We don't talk about the right of self-defense of 2.3 million people who have absolutely nobody to defend them, and that's why actually it isn't a war, it's something else. It's a genocide, actually. So what happened was the Israelis hit a school, and Al Jazeera Arabic called me up and wanted an interview, and the Israelis had hit one of our schools. Children had been killed, their parents had been killed as they slept in the morning in an UNRWA facility, and they went to that facility thinking that they would have. I really can't talk about it. I really can't talk about it. It really triggers me. Let me try and carry on. Can you edit this bit? It just triggers me. It really does. The rights of Palestinians, even their children, are wholesale denied, and it's appalling.
Imagine what that person's seen, what that man has seen to make him react that
I think
way.
it really speaks to man's inhumanity to man that in 2014 there were 530 odd children who were killed, and this was absolutely appalling. We have seen a school hit directly. Children sleeping next to their parents on the floor of a UN designated safe area have been killed. It is an affront to the humanity of all of us. The world should hang its head in shame.
Did you tell them about the location of this school and how many people were inside?
17 times we called to give them the precise coordinates of this school and to inform them of the fact that 3,300 people had taken refuge there. So that is certainly not an excuse that can be given.
This is the second time this has happened with a large loss of life. How should the international community respond?
Well, we've made it quite clear that it's time for accountability. We've made it quite clear that those with the power...
See, again, it's like because of the restrictions we have, he doesn't say, well, we need to get rid of this disgusting fucking pedo cult. These genocidal fucking pedophiles are insane. They're drunk with power and insanity. They're literally insane. It's shocking how obvious all this is, and yet it's still, we have to be careful. We don't want to hurt the Israelis' feelings now. You have to say the right things, right? It's so sad the things people have to go through. It's beyond sad. It's appalling. There is no word. You know, when you look at the fake Holocaust narrative and how we're all supposed to give a shit and we're supposed to justify everything forever. Forever because of the Holocaust. They're just allowed to do whatever. They're allowed to get whatever. They get all the money. They get all the power. They get all the Semitism because of a fake fucking story where there's no evidence of it. You don't have the everyday broadcast of it like we do with this. And yet with this, it's like, you could just see how fucked up our mind. That we're supposed to like address the issue, but we're not supposed to address it if it upsets the people doing it. Right? Just make it make sense, right?
How to act should take deliberate political action. Though nothing happened in the way of sanctioning the Israelis. We've now moved to a point where at least 20,000 children have been killed. We don't know how many. And yet, again,
it's more like 680,000 people.
It's an abomination, and the world should hang its head in shame.
Linear bineural devices uses dual mode stimulation to soothe tinnitus.
Oh yeah, okay.
Its head in shame. In 2014, in a very short war, over 2,000 Palestinians were killed, and there was frankly not much outrage whatsoever. Quite the reverse. People argued that Israel had the right to self-defense, and yet on October 7th, half that number were killed, and yet there's sort of massive outrage.
You guys, I encourage you to look at the comments. Point out the one comment that actually addresses what's being said. Point out the one argument I guess I'm not addressing or whatever. I'd love to hear I'd love to hear the opposition, but the reality is they are doing the best they can do. They're scrambling. They're doing everything they can. They've been watching me for well over 10 years. And they're just trying to find any little dumb thing that they can try to twist or manipulate to I guess, I don't understand. There's nothing. You could report that I was arrested multiple times for beating the shit out of my wife. That's not going to change this. That's not going to eliminate this genocide that's happening. And to think that people are so obsessed with me that they'll be here every day and they'll beg for attention and they'll lie, they'll do whatever, they make fake profile after fake profile. And yet, shit like genocide, they don't care about. Shit like raping children, well, that's a part of their thing. That's what Israel Hayom is. That's the thing, is we have to understand, this is the smoking gun. Because if they can do bottom of darkness to their own children, what won't they do to us? If they can ritualistically sexually abuse children and say it's, oh, they're gaining transcendence and, you know, more favor, gotta love that biblical favor that they always get from raping their own children. Where do you think they draw the line with us? We need to be aware of things happening in the world. You'd think. Again, so you have to ask yourself, who would possibly be this obsessed with me? Who could be this obsessed with me? This is long before MAGA, so you can't say it's MAGA's crazies. And at the end of the day, you know, I'm like, we should stop giving American money, blah, blah, blah. I do get sick of that narrative too, though. This notion of, I'm an American, so I care about America. Like, it's all their fake bullshit. America itself, the idea of America, is a Jewish hoax. It's just more Jewish hoax. You know, it's all bullshit. Belch. What's the 1783 treaty, supposedly, that basically makes the U.S. Property of the British Crown? It's just hidden. You know, fuck this idea of America. We're all, I don't care where your parents happen to have sex. Just because your parents had sex here or there doesn't mean as a child you have less rights or more rights than someone else. That's bullshit. And it's like, we can't progress unless we look at it as a whole. The revolution isn't something that takes place in little pieces. The revolution has to be all-encompassing. So it's the Jews as well, not just the ghouls and the legion. How are we ever going to be safe? We have to unite. Look at the effort. Look at the unity that they have. Look at how many fake ass profiles that come on here to talk shit against me for speaking out against them. We don't have that. I ask you guys to share this, and you guys are scared because you don't, I don't want to offend somebody in my friend list. I don't want to offend some random person that exists on my Facebook. You are so fucking well programmed and stupid that if I was sitting here talking bad about Muslims, my shit would be shared left and right. You don't believe you can get in trouble for it. You don't believe it's wrong to speak out against the Muslim cult. But you've been so heavily programmed that you think even speaking out against the Jews is a bad thing. The one thing I know is that I've been doing this for a long time. And I never have any Jews that come in here and say, you're right, man, we need to get rid of Matitza B'Peh. We need to fix this Israel Hayom bottom of darkness shit. You know, we're all here together. Let's all work together to make the world a better place. They never say shit like that. You know, they're the worst fucking people in the world. And like I say, look at how many profiles can you count that are on here that are talking shit about the guy who thinks we should kill pedos and eliminate the Fryer control scheme, while not actually addressing literally anything I'm talking about. Not debunking, not debating, nothing. They're just trying to shoot the messenger. Right? If I'm crazy, then, you know, then you're not going to live. As Dave Chappelle says, the worst thing to do is call someone crazy. Crazy is dismissive. If they can get you to think I'm crazy, well, then you're not going to even hear what's being said. I bet you guys, we have to stay united to be safe. Otherwise, they will divide us and pick us off one by one. You get it, man. You get it. So now put your money where your mouth is and share the shit. Go get your free download from www.the-bilderberg, bilderberg-group.com. The link is in the description. It's free. It'll ask you how much you want to pay. You click 0. Music is one of the most powerful weapons we have, and that's why they don't let it exist. There should be nothing but protest music on the radio right now. All these artists, these empathetic artists who feel the pain, and there should be nothing but fucking protest songs going on right now. And there's none. I don't think lumping all Jews into one pot. I agree Israel is off their fucking right. So let me ask you this. How many NAMBLA members do you support? If somebody says they belong to NAMBLA, even if they say, I don't actually agree with any of the killing and stuff, but I'm a NAMBLA member, I support them, I give them money, I vote on their behalf, do you excuse that? Do you excuse the NAMBLA member and be like, well, you know, they're a good person. Yeah, cool, okay, they support NAMBLA. But they, you know, the thing is, they put on these really great charity functions where lots of kids get to come and have a good time. Yeah, they use that to pick a few off, but think about how many children that get to have fun. That's okay, right? How many people say that? Just keep making shit up. Yep, I'm making shit up. Not at all. What does NAMBLA have to do with the Jews? It's called an analogy. Do you not understand? Is English not your first language, so you're having trouble here? If somebody tells you they're NAMBLA, does it matter what else they do, or are you going to support them? Like, is there something that somebody could say, along with being a NAMBLA member, that you would go, oh, well, I guess I'll overlook you being a NAMBLA member then? I don't think this is really too hard to fucking wrap your head around, but if you're trying not to understand, I guess you will. My stupid female wife, you know how dumb girls are. Before I can even get the whole thing out, she's going, no, NAMBLA, no. And that's how you need to understand this. These are all, if you identify as a cult member, you can't say, well, I don't practice all of the cult rituals. I know it's happening all over the place, and I know I don't speak out against it, but, you know, I'm a good one. It doesn't work that way. And it's such a simple comparison. It's such a simple analogy that, you know, if you're opposed to me, you're going to say all kinds of dumb shit instead of just answering the simple question. But if you're supportive, you get it. You understand. I mean, look at the dumb comments. Look at how stupid you are. It's such desperation to prevent this kind of conversation from even being had, because there's no way they can win it. There's no way they can come out of it looking good. The more we talk about the Jews, the worse they look. You're not going to be able to dig into their stuff and find, you know, find stuff that you're like, oh, that's really good. Oh, that's really great. Look at how they did. Look at how they helped. Look at this. Look at that. I mean, even when you look at the Ukraine situation, right? Ukraine is where so many of them are from. Could be like the original foundation homeland area, whatever. One of the largest concentrations of Jews in the area, in the region. And I told you guys that from the beginning, asking you guys, why do we give a shit about Ukraine at all? Like, at all. There are all sorts of things that are going on all over the world and we're not involved in it. Why do we care about Ukraine? They don't provide shit for us. They don't matter to us in the slightest. Other than, it's one of the largest Jewish populations in the region, especially in a place like Kiev. So for the only time I've ever seen in history, Kiev, Ukraine, kept asking Israel for help. And it was like this big deal that Israel wasn't helping. And it's like, again, when has Israel ever helped anyone? When has Israel ever come to the aid of anyone? What would make the Ukraine think that Israel was going to come to their aid? They don't help anybody. But what it turns out is that Russia controls the Syrian airspace. Pay attention here. There's a lot of moving pieces. Because Israel wants to be able to attack Syria, attack Iran-backed Hezbollah or Hamas in Syria, Iran-backed Syrians. You know, they want to be able to kill them. They would have to, they basically need Russia's permission because Russia controls that airspace. So because they didn't want the beef with Russia and they didn't want to be prevented from killing Syrians, they wouldn't directly, openly help Ukraine. And this is all just well documented. Like it's, you might be right. Yep. I might be right. I'm trolling YouTube. Yep. Isn't this amazing that this person can come up with everything to say except what I'm actually wrong about? Isn't that strange? Who the fuck is going... And this person literally will set their alarm so they can be here every day the entire 2-3 hours that I'm live. If I'm longer, then they're longer. And the entire time, they don't answer literally anything. They just do this troll shit. They don't stand up, you know, against Israel. They don't stand up for the kids. They don't stand against genocide. They don't stand against supremacy. It's just constant crybaby this and that. Judaism is not the whole program. It's just a slice of the pie. Religion as a whole is the problem. Yeah, but see, again, this is where your ignorance comes in. Purposeful. They make you ignorant on purpose. There's a reason why Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are called the Abrahamic religions. The problem that religion is a Jewish creation. Abraham is the father of the Jewish people. Abraham is the main big bad in the Bible. He's the bad guy, not Satan, not anyone else. Abraham, and then his children who end up killing your Jesus. They are the big bads. The fact is, they gave you, you know, they gave us Christianity. Christianity, think about it. Christians believe that a completely different religion that hates them, killed their Jesus, and you know, looks down on them in every way, believes believes that each one of them should have 2,800 Gentile slaves. They killed your Christian God's only kid, and Christians believe that not Christian, but Jews, a completely different religion, is their Christian God's chosen people. It's just insane. It's just insane, but you can't sit here and say, yeah, fuck all religion, without understanding what it's about, where it comes from, why it exists. You definitely can't convince people to just drop it without providing them context. I don't give a fuck about the Bible. Yeah, but so many people do. You're insane. I'm insane. About what part? Let's see. Can you come up with a part? What part's wrong? Come on, let's see if we can make some big boy comments here, and not just crybaby blanket statements. You're crazy. What part's wrong? Let's hear what part's wrong. I'm all of it. All of it's wrong. Yes. All of it is wrong. The Abrahamic religion stuff, Abraham, Jesus, all of it. Yep, I'm wrong. It's just not true. And see, again, when you're too stupid, like if trust me, I say this all the time. If any of these fuckers actually had a reasonable argument, or even that kill shot argument, that end all be all argument that's just going to put me in my place and make me look foolish, they'd use it. They wouldn't be sitting here making all these dumb crybaby things. Well, you're a crane. Well, you've been 15 years and they wouldn't be saying that shit. They'd be like, dude is wrong because of this. It's easy to figure out. Here it is. Look at this, blah, blah. That's what they do. If you think they're just sitting on it, making themselves look stupid in the process, then that says a lot about you. I agree. To fix the issues, yes, people need to understand the history and science and sociology of religion. He knows about the problems with the Jews as I know about the problems of being with the Legion. Listen, unless you can tell me what I'm wrong about, then I'm right. That's how this works. Unless you can say I'm wrong, then I'm right. And so, you're the one that said you can't, not all Jews. No, it is. And going back to the NAMBLA argument, do you believe that any NAMBLA member is a good person? Do you believe that if you found out somebody was a NAMBLA member, you would have to, you could overlook that because they did this, that, or the other? The crazy part is, when it comes to the Jews, there isn't this stuff, all this, this evidence that you're supposed to look at instead of looking at this. There isn't a good that you can say, well, they do all this good stuff. None of it exists. Will says it. No, there is no reason why somebody is a good NAMBLA member. There's no excuse for it. There's nothing. So when it comes to Judaism, they all know about the ritual sexual abuse. It's very, very common. It's a part of their whole cult thing. It's a part of the transcendence. It's a part of... That's why 13-year-old boys are made men. That's what the bar mitzvah is about, is making... These guys are men now. These little boys are men. You need to chill out grouping people together. I need to chill out grouping people together. The people that group themselves together, I need to stop associating them together. Boy, that makes so much sense. I'm the one that groups them together. All these idiots walking around calling themselves Jewish Americans. I'm the one that separates them, right? But you see the desperation again. When it comes down to stupidity trying to argue with intelligence, it's oil and water. It just doesn't work. If I was wrong about something, you would be able to point it out. It wouldn't be such a struggle where you're just constantly saying, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah, I'm a cult member. You can't lump us all together, though. I identify as a cult member. I say that I'm proudly this cult member, but you can't lump me in together with everybody else. Listen, if I know about Israel Hayom, if I know about the ritualistic sexual abuse, they know about it. And ask yourself, this article came out in April 2025. Where is the outrage? Yet everyone accepts their sheepness. Because that's what they've been told to do. I mean, how many times in the Bible does it tell you not to educate yourself? Not to understand, not to gain understanding. Just listen to what you're told. Listen to what this Bible says. These people have been told their entire lives that they're not allowed to think. You know, at school, you're not supposed to think. You're supposed to regurgitate. The more you can regurgitate, the more accurately you can regurgitate, the better your paycheck. Your paycheck being your grades. Right? You want to have your paycheck right. You don't want to get your paycheck taken away from you. So you better fucking regurgitate like you're supposed to. Never heard this. Yeah, I'm sure you've never heard it. My stream with 10 to 20 viewers because, you know, if I had like 200 viewers, then I could say I was censored. But when I have 11 viewers and 3 likes, well, you know, that's just me fucking up. That's just me fucking up. The day before Charlie Kirk, I was, you know, day before, 2 days before, my feed's going strong. And then something noticeably happens, and, this is, you know. The ritualistic sexual abuse is fucking everywhere. And let's just say you pretend like you didn't know about it. Let's just say you pretend like you'd never heard of Matitza Bapay and all of it. Well, as soon as you find out about it, do you go, like, if you belong to the organization and you're like this lifelong member and you've given all this money and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then you find out, oh yeah, this organization is secretly about raping children. Are you going to go, oh, well, it's okay. I mean, you know, I've already given so much. I can't quit now. As soon as anybody finds out that there's ritualistic sexual abuse that's not only being practiced by your cult, but it's covered up. And it's much worse than people can even begin to imagine. If you stick around with that cult, it's because you're guilty. And really at this point, I have no problem whatsoever identifying people as pedophiles. I understand that the issue is so much bigger than people realize, and that the likelihood of someone being a pedophile is so much higher than we're taught to think it is. The evidence is all around you. Just go look up any pedophile hunter you can find. Those guys aren't struggling to get people to catch. He's usually really argumentative with those that insult him or disagree. Yes, I insult you. So I'm talking about like really important shit. So if you disagree with me, I'm not supposed to argue with you. I'm supposed to what? Be like, oh, well, random person said I was wrong, so I should just be like, yeah, I guess I'm wrong. He has no context behind the stuff Yep. Israel Hayom Bottom of Darkness article is not context. So funny when you drop legit wisdom and they then hit a bong. Yes, here we go, it's a bong. Because real normal people would call it a bong and not dumb fake fucking Jew bot profiles, right? Gotcha. Because anything I do personally changes what I'm talking about. Right? This somehow changes it. This totally legal thing that I'm doing. It changes what's being said. You were giving me a compliment by saying you drop legit wisdom, then hit the bong. Stay based, my friend. Gotcha. Sorry I didn't see your backhanded compliment for what it really was. These are just commonplace distractions that are used pretty frequently. And if you get upset by my response, let's just say you are a decent person, you're on the right side, you said something that came across a certain way, and I, based on the comments that I receive, I respond to you the way I did. You would think you'd sort of understand, be like, no, man, I get it. Like, I get why, but I didn't mean it that way, or something along those lines. You wouldn't get upset. We need to understand the dangers in the world. We do. He's an ass, says the guy that watches me every day and claims that he's here to save my soul. Never once talks about we need to end this shit. We need to fix this. We need to end the pedophilia, go after the pedophiles, hold them accountable, eliminate them in all facets of life. No, he's here to save my soul. Maybe don't shoot so quick from the hip. Okay, so again, you're saying your statement wasn't at all like inflammatory or, opposition-like. Drops legit wisdom, then hits the bong, stay based. Right, I think everybody would hear that and be like, oh, that's such a compliment. Anyway, I'm done. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Understand, this is what is happening. This is how this works. This is how we're programmed to be. This is what their shit does. Consistently attacking. It's going to put people on the defense. And because we're all so cowardly and can't admit when we're wrong, it just creates this like feedback loop where it just keeps going and going and going. I'll just unsub. Oh, okay. See, again, when you try to hold people accountable, they cry. Just more crybaby shit. And this is how they've manipulated our brains, man. They've manipulated us into getting our widow feelings hurt. My feelings are hurt. You said something I don't like. My feelings are hurt. I'm going to take away my sub. Okay. Find whatever reason you need to. This is a big boy table. You probably shouldn't sit here. Obviously backhanded. He was just trying to belittle you for how many chems you take. I don't know what that means. It's backhanded bullshit. And because they require us to be so stupid, you're supposed to pretend like, oh, it didn't happen. No, I didn't do anything. This is all Israel Hayom, man. I'm telling you, that is the most important thing we need to be focused on. Here, let's finish this video.
Of course, circumstances were different. You had the Israeli army indiscriminately.
Let's see.
And yet on October 7th, half that number were killed, and yet there's sort of massive outrage. Of course, circumstances were different. You had the Israeli army indiscriminately bombing densely populated civilian areas.
Where the supposedly hostages could have been. If there were any sort of like hint that there were hostages, for Israel to be indiscriminately bombing as they were doesn't make any sense, especially when you look at, you know, maybe a year prior, well, it was earlier in 2023. Some dumb punk-ass Israeli piece of shit was driving around through the Gaza Strip, running people off the road, you know, driving like a jackass, picking fights, all that shit. But he was pissed drunk. And he ended up crashing his car and died in the crash. And the nearest hospital was a Palestinian hospital. So they took him to the Palestinian hospital where, you know, he was dead. Apparently, stupid, but somebody's, and this is just Israeli shit. This is just Israeli operations. Somebody came and stole the body. And Netanyahu and company was threatening to October 7th, Gaza, October 8th, Gaza, in order to get this random dead body back. The dead body was so precious to them that they were going to, you know, bring the genocide to Gaza to get that body back. And then suddenly the body appeared. Like, I'm sure the temperature was taken, and somebody was like, dude, you guys can't. You can't bring the genocide based on one dumb drunk kid's dead body. That's not going to be acceptable. We have to come up with something better than that. So they put the body back and avoided the conflict or whatever that came from it, or would have come from it. Again, just pointing to more like Israeli nonsense. The fuck, who would give a shit about a dead body? What Palestinian whatever would give a shit about a dead body? You know, they have much more to be concerned about than some dead jackass. So to think they were willing to do that in response to a dead body, there's no way they'd just be indiscriminately bombing where hostages potentially are. And considering Hamas immediately said, we'll give up the hostages if Israel just stops bombing us. And Israel's response was to up the bombing. They were like, hell no, we don't negotiate. We're just going to bomb you even worse. How did they know they weren't hitting hostages? They didn't know where the hostages were. Couldn't they just ask them to bring it, perhaps, a trade, unless they just wanted to bring in there? I mean, it's fucking dumb. Yeah, see, I can't even. I try to look it up, but it just brings me all this 2025 bullshit. And you would think it would be, you know, I made it pretty specific. This is fucking crazy. Let's see. It just keeps popping up. It's so weird. It's so hard to even find the stuff anymore when you... No, I don't agree. I see, it's so hard because there's just so many of these things. Yeah, I can't find it. It's too hard. It's nuts. I can't find it. It won't let me. It just keeps, no matter, I put archives 1 year plus and it's showing me shit from 2025 still. Just think about your stereotyping you're stereotyping all Jews and all Christians and everyone who's not you. We are all just trying to live our lives out here. Oh yes. Are those the legitimate points you're making? Is that what you're talking about? Was that supposedly some legitimate point being made? You're sick of what I'm doing in my life. So you're going to spend your time telling me I shouldn't do what I'm doing. Instead of living that life that you say you're living, you're here trying to cry and tell me I shouldn't talk about this. Never mind whether I'm right or wrong, because you can't tell me what I'm wrong about. I should just stop talking about these things. Who thinks that makes sense? The Israelis must have heard that the Palestinians were hoarding pennies. Dude, they print the money. They don't give a fuck about the money. I mean, this idea that they've tricked us into making jokes like that, like that they were all, like, being about your money is not a bad thing. Saying that somebody has all the money, the power, and the control, that's not a bad thing, but that's what we say about them. You know, their stereotypes are that they found out there was money there, so they went after the money. And I get what you're saying, that they're so cheap they were going after pennies. I get that. But when you compare the idea of they're really cheap to the ritual sexual assault, what do you think is worse? Which one do you think they'd rather you say? That they have money or that they rape children? Do you get how you've been manipulated on just every fucking level? You notice how you never hear me making those dumb jokes? I don't talk about how rich and powerful they are and, oh, look, they just have so much money. And talk about the money they're given, but not this drive for having money is a good thing. Everybody should have money. Everybody should be unified and working together. But by controlling our speech, by controlling our thought process, they've tricked us into, you know, complimenting them. We're complimenting them as our way of talking shit. Oh yeah, well you have all the money and the power and the control. How stupid are we? How stupid do you have to be? How stupid do you have to have been made to think that that's some sort of insult? Do you see how the manipulation works? It's right there. You know? It's just like if everything regarding the Jews in Israel was on the up and up, they wouldn't be making it illegal to talk about it. They go to all these lengths to prevent the speech and prevent the conversation, because again, you can't get very far into the conversation before it starts getting fucked up. And I think if people just realize, like if they were, yeah, isn't it weird how when we're talking about everybody, we talk about how rich and powerful they are, and somehow like that's a bad thing? You know, this is the mind control we're all under and just don't realize it. Let's keep going.
Juvederm collection of fillers.
Juvederm.
Add volume to get smooth, natural-looking, long-lasting
Juvederm.
Indiscriminately bombing densely populated civilian areas, I would argue that's right up there on the scale of evil, against a prescribed organisation crossing over and, admittedly a fence built round them and doing the things that they did. I don't think that comparing kinds of evil gets us very far, but one can certainly conclude that the international reaction to a Palestinian death is not the same as the international reaction to an Israeli or a Jewish death, and I think that double standard is undeniable. Clearly there is a double standard that 40 beheaded babies that Hamas allegedly did, completely fake news, wrong, made headlines, front pages, people like Piers Morgan bought into it.
I choked up earlier reading this new revelation about 40 babies being killed.
I choked up.
And some of them being beheaded.
Biden bought into it.
I never really thought that I would see and have confirmed
Confirmed
of terrorists beheading children.
All sorts of people.
Okay, so that's like, how come Trump doesn't focus on that lie, that flat out, outrageous, inflammatory, disgusting lie that Biden says he'd seen pictures of terrorists doing? He saw pictures of it. He lied. And yet, that lie just goes under the rug, right?
Into it.
Babies and toddlers were found with their heads decapitated.
And yet you've got stories of beheaded babies, fetuses, not being even considered as a news story. We also, there are 150 babies born every day in Gaza, and there are no anaesthetics. So women are giving birth by caesarean section without anaesthetic. I want every mother listening to this to consider what that means. Having your stomach cut open for your child to be born without an anaesthetic. What has to happen in Gaza for the world to wake up to this massive double standard is extraordinary. And what we're now having today is people who've been starved literally to death are crawling to get food. They're being shot at directly by Israeli marksmen, and they're then being taken to hospitals where there are no drugs and anaesthetics to treat them. How more inhumane can we get? What's so extraordinary about it is that both the Israeli public and those who support Israel have lost their humanity.
How many civilians have been killed in Gaza, from what you know?
Miriam, Jerusalem. Who gives a shit, she says.
But don't you feel like, for example, children?
Children grow up to be Arabs.
That's the extraordinary thing that both within Israel, Israeli media
But see, this is this idea that somehow this is new. This isn't new. This isn't a new, the new wave of Jewishness. It's not new. That's why Israel exists in the first place, because they have that attitude. This is killing women, children, babies, men, whatever. This is what they've been doing the whole fucking time. And it's so disgusting, and it's like even this notion that Charlie, in 2025, there was a change. Who the fuck was he prior to this supposed change? What was he basing his reality off of when it came to the idea of supporting Israel to begin with? Like, why does anybody support Israel? Even a little bit. If you do, you better have a decent reason. Because like I say, none of this horrendous bullshit is new. It's just, there's just a lot more of it now. They're just bragging a lot about it a lot more than they ever used to. This has been going on for 75 plus fucking years, man. This is what they do. So anyone, feigning this, I had no idea. You fucking knew. You can't tell me that you were seeing all these previous stories about how good Israel was and you were confused. Show me whatever stories you saw that somehow painted Israel in a good light. By the way, the comment section has been shut off again for like the last 10 minutes. The last comments I see are, the Israelis must have heard that the Palestinians were hoarding pennies because Socrates is crybaby nonsense human. Those are the last two comments I can see. So, you know how fun that is.
So they don't see a lot of it, but there's plenty of social media of Israeli soldiers posting on the internet the appalling things they are doing. But seeing the desensitization, that's the first thing that has to happen if you're going to have a genocide, actually. I mean, a conspiracy theorist might say that this was part of a genocide that's been going on since 1948. And Raphael Lemkin, the man who coined the phrase genocide, was very quick to say that the genocide is a continuum, and many Palestinians would say that this continuum began in 1948.
It's been going long before that.
Through the gradual dispossession to 1967, where you have the occupation, and if you're in Gaza, all the way through to the blockade of Gaza, which began in 2007. Then you have a series of wars in Gaza, because of course Hamas and others aren't going to lie there and play dead. They're going to try and resist this blockade, which is an illegal collective punishment. They don't have a conventional army. What can they do? They make rockets. I'm not someone who says that rockets are a good thing. Clearly they kill civilians, and clearly they're a violation.
They made those,
of international law, because they're so inaccurate. You can't tell where they're going to go. Nonetheless, I think there is a reason for these rockets, and that's 2007 and the imposition of the blockade.
See, this is the part that I always have such a hard time. Instead of saying, hey, maybe it's Israel that's launching those rockets into the Israeli airspace, which, they always have an immediate, within 24 hours, they have a response. Within hours, they have a response where they have 10, 15 targets already picked out that they were already planning on hitting. They were just waiting for some reason to happen. And then lo and behold, from the exact area they were planning on attacking, a couple of rockets get fired into Israeli airspace so they can be shot down by the Iron Dome, and then they respond. Like, it doesn't even make sense that anyone with any sort of Palestinian in them at all would ever shoot a rocket into Israeli airspace. You have zero hope, according to the narrative, you have zero hope of that thing ever hitting anything. So why do it? And then this picture of the homemade rockets, those sure look like fucking high-grade military rockets to me. But what do I know? Whew, I'm stuck. Again, comment section shut off. Why is my comment section shut off? Who keeps doing that? Who keeps interfering with the communication between you and I? Preventing me from seeing all these people that are supposedly telling me what I'm wrong about. We're going to have to reset again. So, resetting again. Pedophiles, kill yourself.